Long winter nights have always tested human resilience. In earlier centuries, farmers used the dark months for reading, planning, and strategic thinking while their outside world slowed. Today we can apply the same logic to sharpening the mind, preserving our mental clarity, and strengthening our cognitive endurance. Before we begin, please subscribe to Second Half Wisdom and like the video. Start by giving the brain structured cognitive work instead of passive entertainment. The brain benefits from tasks that require attention, strategy, and memory consolidation. Reading serious works, studying historical material, or tackling complex nonfiction gives the brain a level of friction it needs to grow new neural connections. The best time to do this in winter is during the first hours of the evening when the body has not yet entered sleep preparation mode. A practical routine would be reading 20 pages of a historical biography, then summarizing key points verbally or in writing. This reinforces memory consolidation and pattern recognition, two cognitive domains that tend to decline after 40 if left unchallenged. Keeping a notebook for winter reading sessions creates consistency and transforms passive reading into active study. Use puzzles and strategic games to target memory and problem solving. Chess, Go, crosswords, and logic puzzles have long been used by scholars and military planners for mental conditioning. They work because they force the brain to calculate, anticipate, and adapt. So, a winter strategy could be, say, one day of chess puzzles, then one day of Sudoku or logic grids, and maybe another day of a historical quiz game. Online chess platforms let you play against stronger opponents, and historical trivia apps really challenge your recall and associative memory. This is, honestly, the cognitive equivalent of resistance training. Just 15 minutes on a winter evening is enough to provide measurable benefit. The key, really, is consistency and incremental difficulty. Strengthen your working memory with retrieval exercises rather than just plain repetition. Retrieval, well, that's the process of recalling information without any cues. It's actually one of the strongest drivers of memory retention. Winter is an ideal period to train this by studying topics that interest you and then testing yourself afterward. So, here's a practical example. You read a chapter on medieval siegecraft, then close the book and write down the main techniques and examples you remember. Retrieval like this, it strengthens the pathways between concepts and, well, it actually improves your access speed to that information. For serious historians, the subject matter might be military campaigns, ancient governance systems, or even Cold War geopolitics. Honestly, the topic is less important than the act of pulling information from storage. Keep the body warm to protect circulation and cognitive performance. Cold weather reduces peripheral circulation, and, it can really diminish mental sharpness if the body starts diverting resources to heat preservation. Winter cognition, it improves when the body maintains core warmth. Wearing thermal socks, a wool hat, or just layering correctly really keeps your blood flow strong. Hot tea broth or even warm water helps with vasodilation and comfort too. And keeping your hands warm is especially important for things like writing games or taking notes. In colder households, using a heated blanket on your lower back or feet can enhance comfort without needing to blast the heater. Warmth, honestly, isn't just a luxury, it's actually a variable in cognitive function. Try using structured winter journaling as a way to improve clarity and reasoning. Journaling has deep historical roots among philosophers, generals, and statesmen who needed to evaluate their own thinking. And those long winter nights are just about perfect for this kind of work. So, structured journaling means documenting what you read, what you observed, and, what questions emerged. The point here is to discipline the mind, not just record emotions. A typical entry could summarize a historical question, record a hypothesis, and examine evidence. This, in turn, builds analytical strength and metacognitive awareness. Over weeks, the quality of thought improves and honestly becomes more strategic. Engage in winter planning to sharpen future-oriented reasoning. Planning is a major cognitive exercise because it requires prediction, sequencing, and resource management. Using winter to plan the coming year activates executive function. Now, this could include, things like personal training goals, budgeting, travel, or just picking up a new skill. For instance, you might map out which historical periods you want to study over the next 6 months, identify your sources, and go ahead and schedule those reading blocks. By doing this, you turn a passive interest into a structured pursuit. And, you keep your brain actively shaping the future instead of just drifting through the present. Practice long-form concentration to counter the attention fragmentation that comes with digital life. Modern media, it really trains us to have short attention spans. Winter, though, is a season for counter-training. Selecting one task and staying with it for 45 minutes without switching trains sustained attention networks. Historical reading, academic lectures, or documentary viewing work well for this because they deliver depth. To make it practical, silence notifications, set a timer, and work until the period expires. This is not about productivity, but about restoring cognitive stamina. Many adults over 40 notice declines here. Winter is the perfect time to repair it. Social conversation with substance supports cognitive flexibility. Conversation that involves debate, storytelling, or exchanging information really forces the brain to work at higher levels than just, idle chatter. Having a weekly winter discussion group, whether that's online or in person, focused on things like history, documentaries, or strategy-based topics, it creates real cognitive engagement. Discussing whether Hannibal or Napoleon used superior logistics, or, say, analyzing why some empires managed to survive harsh winters while others collapsed, that kind of talk really trains your reasoning and verbal memory. Social cognition, honestly, remains one of the best predictors of lifelong brain health. Sleep, hydration, and light exposure are what keep the brain functional during those dark months. Winter, though, tends to disrupt circadian cycles. Fewer daylight hours can, impact your mood, energy, and alertness. To counter this, expose yourself to daylight early in the morning, hydrate more than you think necessary, and keep evening stimulants low. Proper sleep consolidates memory from the day's reading, puzzles, and study. Hydration improves blood flow and cognitive endurance. These interventions cost nothing and yet produce measurable improvements in winter cognition. Fuel the brain with warm, nutrient-dense winter foods. Foods rich in omega-3 oils, antioxidants, and proteins support brain maintenance. Winter staples like fatty fish, olive oil, eggs, walnuts, and lentil soups provide sustained fuel. And, hot teas made from ginger or turmeric support circulation and inflammation control. These are the same categories used historically in harsh climates to maintain strength during long winters. Eating heavy sugar snacks before bed dulls cognitive performance. Protein and warm broth sharpen it. Winter nights offer serious historians and survival-minded adults a chance to refine the mind. Apply these techniques with discipline and, honestly, winter becomes an advantage rather than an obstacle. If you found value here, subscribe to Second Half Wisdom and share the video so others can sharpen their minds with you.